Hello, and welcome to the Passion Driven Pioneers interview series. I'm your host, John Channon, and today I'm joined by Mariya Javed-Payne, who is the owner of Awaken Consulting Services. Mariya, right?
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. Mariya, thank you so much for joining us. Would you mind just kicking us off with a brief background as to who you are, what you do in the business that you're in?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a licensed alcohol and drug counselor. I am a somatic psychotherapist and I specialize in treating PTSD and addictions and depression, anxiety, but primarily I work as a trauma therapist. So that's my focus. And I am the owner of Awaken Consulting Services. So there I work with clients and I do intensive therapy. So I see people not for hourly, weekly sessions. I see people for 4 or 5 hours a day, upwards to a week. And we do 20, 30 hours of therapy in a week. So it's a deep dive exploration and really trying to get to the root cause of people's concerns and helping them heal through those concerns using different somatic and brain-based methodologies as far as psychotherapy goes. So I use brain spotting primarily as an approach to help people heal their nervous systems. And then I also teach brain spotting as a trainer all over the world. So I have trainings every month to train clinicians on how to do brain spotting and a lot of consulting work that I do with that as well, to help certify folks and help them use this modality and learn about trauma in the brain and work with their own clients. So that's a little bit about me.
And maybe just share with our audience a little bit more about, what brain spotting is and kind of how it works, because that's probably a new term for a lot of people.
Sure. Yeah. Brain spotting is some of your audience may be familiar with EMDR. So it's kind of like EMDR. It, however, uses focused eye positions instead of eye movement. And so we're looking at the visual field as we activate an issue. So if I was working with you, I would say, hey, what do you want to work on today? What are you wanting to focus on? And maybe you say, oh, I'm feeling really nervous about launching my new business, right? And I'm trying to get more clients or more leads, and I'm struggling to do so. And so I'd ask you some questions about, well, tell me more about this anxiety or this nervousness. Like, where does it live inside of you? Where do you feel it? How does it show up? And maybe you'd say, oh, my hands are sweaty and kind of feel like my heart is racing, and I'm feeling nervous about this venture. So what we would do then is have you tune into that sensory experience of the jittery sensations that you're having. And we would look at your visual field using a pointer, and we would scan your visual field to find an area where you would notice that there's a spot where you feel more activated by that issue, or the sensations get kind of stronger, you have more access to them. And then as we fine tune where that exact spot is, that's what a brain spot is. We would have you then tune into that and continue to feel into the sensations and process. And what happens is the brain actually starts to metabolize and reprocess and reorganize the activation that's there and bring you back into homeostasis. Our body has very strong natural self-healing capabilities. And so essentially that's what brain spotting is diving into. And brain spot is an area of relevance that's held inside of the subcortical brain. So the more reflexive brain, the one that helps us survive and make really quick decisions if we're in safety or danger. That same region of the brain is really responsible for our emotional processes as well. And so we can actually locate information that's held in your brain through the eyes and then help to process what's there. So it's pretty powerful and rather quick therapy for, I would say, in comparison to talk therapy, it works a lot faster.
Well, good. Well, listen, I appreciate your sharing that with us and walking us through that. Now let's cruise back to the business side and talk to us about, what inspired you to start your own business, or was there an initial spark that kind of said, "Hey, I'm going to be on my own and have my own business"?
So I'm the first business owner in my family, and as a woman as well. So I was born in India. So I've really stepped out of the generational path in my lineage. And I never thought I was going to be a business owner. Like growing up, that was not something I ever thought I would do. Um, in I've had a lot of different positions in my career so far, 14 years, and was in a lot of leadership positions. So I got to see things from that level, right? Not just the clinical end of seeing clients every day. And I was good at it. Like I have a really high level kind of brain where I can see structures and I can see how things weave together. And I was working as the director of behavioral health at United Family Medicine. So I was embedded into the medical environment and primary care and having to work with the interdisciplinary team. Again, you get to see how everything flows together. At the time, my brain spotting practice was taking off, and many of us in mental health go into private practice at some point. So it really started out with like, oh, well, I'll see some clients on the side and, do some consulting for brain spotting and what have you. And then I got kind of burnt out. I was during COVID, and working in the hospital setting and medical setting really, really was intense during that period of time. And I started to see how bullheaded I am. And I like to have my values be, connected with and used on a daily basis. And that didn't always align with what I was dealing with in corporate. So I decided to take the leap and went full-time private practice. And doing things on the consulting and training end is a whole other element of learning of how you can be a teacher and a leader to the community, with the community. And it's built from there. So I love it now, never going back. It's a delight to be able to create a vision and then be able to enact that vision and meet people of like mind and like hearts to build something great.
So you're seeing your own clients, you're
Mhm.
doing training sessions, you're also doing consulting. Talk to us about how you maintain work-life balance as a business owner. And then do you have any like personal rituals or habits that you use to keep you motivated and focused?
Yeah, absolutely. Work-life balance, I think, is, at least for me, been something that's been hard as a newer business owner. I think I'm in my fourth year now. And there's kind of that mindset at the beginning of like, well, you're the engine, right? And so if the engine isn't going, then the business stops. So you have to keep the engine going consistently. And that has put me in periods of time where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm working way too much. And then over the years, it's sort of settled down. So I feel like I'm getting to have more balance, and I have staff that come and help. We've got an administrative assistant that's amazing that helps take off a lot of those extra duties that can suck up the time of the business owner and keep you from doing the things that you're designed to do and have training to do. So it's happening. Like in the end of August, I am taking a sabbatical from clinical work and lowering the time that I'm doing clinical work so that I can actually create some of the other content and trainings and things that I've been wanting to do for a while, and do some writing as well. Rituals and self-care as a therapist, practicing what we preach is crucial. So I do a lot of the things that I tell my clients to do, and breath work, meditation, and exercise are all really, really important parts of my day. So that's first thing when I wake up. I'm taking 3 hours of my morning to take care of myself. And so, from 6 to 9, it's time for me to really fill up my own cup and kick off then during the day to see clients and and then have some time where like I end the day and I'm focused now on family and hobbies and other things, cooking food and taking time to have healthy meals and things like that. So the good news is that, when you work for yourself, you can actually design your day how you want it to and how it works for you and your body. The downside is you get to design your day. So if you don't implement some of these things right off the bat, it's very easy to get for me anyway, sucked into all the tasks and the constant happenings that are going on. But those are my core rituals that, when I don't do those things, I feel the effect of not taking care of myself.
So you mentioned you're going to take a little sabbatical from clinical work, I think you said, and you're going to refocus it on kind of your business, it sounds like. Could you talk to us a little bit more about what that focus might be on into the future?
Yeah, I have been dreaming of creating some more educational things and an educational platform for clinicians. So with different topics where folks can get continuing education credits. We're all required to have continuing ed as part of our licenses, those of us who are mental health clinicians. So I'm working on that. And frankly, I hate social media, but I am realizing that that's a lot of where people go to connect and learn information every day. And so we're revamping our social media to have a lot more educational content as well, and writing things really from the heart, which is what I want to do, is be able to express stories of healing, stories of how mental health is evolving and changing, and how people can be informed about these changes, and to also look at things from a different perspective, coming from a different culture than the United States, and also from a body-based perspective. Psychotherapy has different arms, and so we have folks that are, specializing in different areas. And the main thing when people think of therapy usually is like coming to an office, sitting down for an hour and talking, right? Or maybe even venting. And that is not how therapy looks in my office. It's way, way, way more body-based and very deep, and involves a lot of practical skills as well, like changing how your nervous system orients to the world and orients to stress, and helping us develop capacity to meet our lives in the way that we wish to. So I want to start talking about some of those things, and offering people the ability to learn that therapy can be very, very different, and hopefully bring awareness and more access to folks that need it.
Good. So you started to talk a little bit about some of your future plans, and it sounds like talk to us about, what do you see your business looking like about 5-10 years out? Or
Yeah, I sit and dream about this all the time. I think 5 to 10 years from now, my partner and I, also my husband and I, started another offshoot of Awakened Consulting. It's called Awakened Roots. So that actually just launched about 2 weeks ago. And Awakened Roots is a more holistic healing arm to our practice right now. So there we're offering services like breathwork and Reiki and coaching, and more group events and gatherings, retreats. So everything we do is based on healing. And I imagine 5-10 years and throughout the rest of my life, whatever I am doing is going to be related to helping human beings heal. So that much I know. I think I'll continue to do teaching and training, but my calling really has changed in the last few years from individual work into group work. I think a lot of the things that we're dealing with in our community, the challenges that we're dealing with, come from isolation and being really like separate as a culture. And so bringing people together is I think an asset that I have and a dream that I have, and how we can bring people from different walks of life together into a healing space and help heal our wounds, our generational wounds, and our traumas. So I imagine us doing breath work. I imagine us doing other kinds of modalities and retreats and such. So that's what I think it's going to be. The dream is to have land and do some regenerative farming and have a healing space for people to come to, probably also for other practitioners to be able to rent out and use that healing space as well. So,
Oh, cool. That sounds like a good future vision. So I appreciate you taking the time to share that. Now, knowing that this show, right, is directed towards people that are going to be in their first few years worth of business, do you have any final thoughts or words of advice you'd like to share with our audience today?
So I suppose in some ways I'm lucky because I'm a therapist, and so I understand psychology, and I've always noticed the connection between the things in my life that are unresolved or belief systems I have, maybe imposter syndrome or other things like that, and how that actually translates into your business, because it will show up. Your business is a microcosm of who you are. And my words of wisdom are really around do your own healing work, and center what it is the difference that you're wanting to make in the world, and like have that be the carrot that you're always moving towards. And as you center that and you work through your own perceived limitations, I think anything is possible. I've come farther than I ever thought I would. And so now I just feel super jazzed and passionate about continuing on and having the confidence. Like really in the last couple of years, the confidence has built up, and that will happen if you persevere. So when you're noticing blocks, you're noticing things that aren't happening in the way that you want them to, go back and check in with your belief systems and what's showing up here, and see if you can work through those or do some brain spotting. That's a good way. I do it all the time to help clear blocks that I have, and I see how that affects the work that I do and how it shows up. So
That's great. So thank you so much for your time today, Mariya.
yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was great meeting you, learning more about your entrepreneurial journey. And to everyone watching, I look forward to seeing you in our next episode.